Hey YouTube, my name's Connor, and today we're going to be talking about the RayNeo Air 3S. These are the latest iteration of the Air series of smart glasses from RayNeo. They feature a birdbath optic. They're 1080p. They cost $210 at launch, even less if you use my referral code. And today we're going to talk about them, highlight them, see what they're all about. This is Informal Tech. So the RayNeo Air 3Ss are actually a really good set of glasses for the price. At $210, you'd be hard pressed to find a better set. They do have some negatives that come along with that price tag, and we'll talk about that. But firstly, I wanted to jump into just kind of some of the specs. So let's move over to the website. Now you can see it says here it's got 650 nits to the eye brightness, a super deep contrast ratio, and talks about a couple other specs in here that I'm not really going to get into. But for me, the screen quality is really good. I also have the Xreal Airs over here and my RayNeo X2s, and the X2s are not really the same type of glasses because the Airs, the Air 3Ss are screen glasses, and so they're ones that you're going to connect to another device and you're going to look through them to kind of have that immersive experience from a gaming console, handheld type of thing, like with a Steam Deck, or for me, I use my ROG Ally, and that's the kind of thing you're going to want to use with these. They do have a couple different apps on the phone that you can use. They don't actually work with mine, so that's something to keep in mind. If you have a Pixel phone, the RayNeo XR app doesn't work for me personally because when I go to hit like start, it changes the viewing mode of the RayNeos in such a way that the pixels want you to acknowledge it as a screen again, and then from there it just doesn't work. And that's also true for the 3D mode. So I don't know if anybody's spoken about it, but they do feature a side by side 3D mode where if you press let me switch back to my cam. If you press the screen brightness and the volume rocker both at the same time, you click them, it'll switch the glasses into a side-by-side 3D mode, and that also does not work on my Pixel. And so that's something to consider. I don't really like side-by-side 3D anyway, so it's not something that matters to me. And a couple disclaimers right up front. I was a part of the beta testing group for the RayNeo Air 3Ss, and so they did send me a set to experience and let them know, give them feedback. But these are not those. I actually purchased these ones from Amazon. So, I may have a little more experience with them than some of the reviewers you've seen or, might come across on the internet. But these ones specifically, they have 120 hertz refresh rate. Oh, let me go back to the screen. They have 120 hertz refresh rate or 60 hertz if you want to switch back and forth, depending on the device that you're using. So for me, gaming on my ROG Ally, playing some Overwatch, pretty okay FPS to play. But if we're looking at some of these specs, they have an OptiCare certification for your eyes. It's supposed to basically mean that like it's not going to damage your eyes because where they're at. As for screen size, it talks about the screen size being 201 inches, I believe. It probably says in here somewhere. 201 inch Hue View mega screen. Now, what that means is basically like if you were in like a movie theater, right, and you're pretty far away from this 201 inch screen, that's like the comparison. So I don't know what the exact distance measured is like from your eye that they would kind of use that number at, but I measured it and I took my 42 inch OLED screen in my office and I put on an image on the display and I scooted back until they matched. And so a more realistic measurement of that would probably be like a 42-inch display at 3.5 feet. Hey, editing Connor here. I just wanted to make one note. When I'm looking back at the footage, it does say in the screen at like 1241 that the 201-inch mega screen is equivalent to a projection from 20 feet slash 6 meters of distance. I talked about in there, I don't know what their measurement is to get that number, but I found it just so you guys are aware. You probably seen it in there, but I just wanted to point it out. It's definitely good enough to like play your games and feel like you're on a screen instead of on your phone or something. So that's something to keep in mind. But I just wanted to kind of let you guys know that up front because the 201-inch measurement, while it is impressive, it's almost like 201 inches, but you're sitting on your couch and it's up on the wall. So it's like that same kind of distance, but for me, it's easier to think about it as a 40-inch screen 3.5 feet away from me, 42 inches, however big this C2 OLED is. I'm not really sure. But along with the screen stuff, you got to do a comparison, right? So the Xreal Airs, they're the only ones I have. They're the very first ones. So don't use this comparison to like the newest Xreals, because those are going to be better than these ones. But I like this comparison because the RayNeo Air 3Ss are not meant to be the top of the line, best of the best birdbath optic glasses that, at least from my perspective, they're meant to be that entry level. You just want to dip your toes into the XR space. And so this is the comparison, right? These are the Xreals, these are the RayNeos, and just based off of the look, I'm picking the RayNeos all day. And the benefit there also is the RayNeos are way lighter, so I can wear those for an extended period of time. Now, one negative that I have to give to the Airs is they actually have an accessory you can get, which is called the Beam. And I think they have a Beam Pro now at this point. And it's similar to RayNeo's Pocket TV, which might actually be here on the website. So let me go to it. Yeah, it's similar to this Pocket TV where you can connect to it and then you're able to cast to it, and it can also use the buttons on it to kind of navigate and use apps that are built into it. Now, these kind of accessories are huge for these devices because otherwise you're connecting into your phone and you're just sapping the power out of your phone. So having something that's not directly tied to your phone with its own battery to power the glasses is a huge boon for this type of device. Highly recommend getting something like this if you're going to get some XR glasses, if you're using it for your phone or something like that, or wanting to like consume media, so like YouTube, Netflix, Paramount, things like that. But they're not cheap, this one's $129 on sale. So that's something to keep in mind. But one of the benefits, it says not for Netflix on here also. If it's an Android device, you might be able to sideload that app, but yeah, not for Netflix. Now, the Air, or the Air Xreal Airs, what's important about their accessory is it actually enables what's called 3 degrees of freedom. And so you're able to kind of pin the image in space. Not like you can't go up and down and like everywhere with it. You can't walk around it, but you can put it in space and it kind of like sits in one spot. So if you look down, it doesn't follow you. Or if you look to the side, it's not necessarily following you. And it has a couple other features in there as well, like a smooth follow feature where if you turn your head this way, the screen slowly comes into your view. It's not right in your view wherever you look. And so that's one of the negatives of the RayNeo Air 3S, is because it's just pinned right in your view, right where it's at. And so if you turn your head this way, it's following you. And so it's almost hard to like see some of the corners of the device, of the image, without moving your head. So because the screen is as big as it is within your field of view, if you want to see something in that top left corner, you have to do an eye movement instead of a head movement. Otherwise, the whole image follows you anyway. So that's something to keep in mind when you're considering these glasses. Is they're a great entry set of AR glasses, XR glasses, and I do highly recommend them, honestly. The image quality is great. The brightness is bright. The refresh rate, 120 hertz, you can't go wrong there. I think my Airs only go up to 90 hertz. That's because they're older. But at $200, $210, less with the referral code, this is something that, if you've been considering XR glasses, but you're not like ready to dive into like $700 pair of glasses. Actually, how much are the Xreal Pro ones? One Pro, the Xreal One Pros are $500. So at $500, these glasses are going to be better. They're going to probably have a brighter screen. They're going to have more degrees of freedom to be able to pin the glasses. And they're going to have a bunch of other features. So like right here off the top, you can read it. It says lens transparency, adjustable lens transparency. And so that's a really cool feature where you can push a button or change a toggle and it changes how dark the actual tint on the glasses themselves is. And, that's awesome. Super useful, like creature comfort feature. But if you're just starting to look at XR glasses and you just want to feel the technology, test it out, see if it's something that you can see yourself using long term, you're gonna not want to just jump straight into the deep end. Get a feel for it first, see if it's even something you care about. Now, on the cons list, I did mention the no 3 degrees of freedom. It's kind of going to follow you around. It's also 1080p. Most of the glasses that you'll find in this space are 1080p because it's not really like blown up to the size where you're going to really notice a huge difference in the image quality between like 1080p, 4K, 2K. 4K to 1080p, you'd probably notice a big difference. But you don't have the field of view of something like a Quest device or a Quest 2, Quest 3. where it's kind of wrapping around your head and you're looking at everywhere and you're seeing it. And no matter like what corner of your eye you're peeking out of, you're seeing a screen. These are a device that's going to like overlay the image in space and you can just kind of see it there, and it's great. It's something you sit down and you watch a movie, you play your games and you're using it, but it's not going to have the same level of quality, field of view, brightness, as something like a Quest device where it's supposed to be fully immersive. These type of glasses are glasses that you would use, you know, when you're sitting in a coffee shop. So my biggest example, the one that I point out to everybody, is I use them for remote work. So when I get out to somewhere, like I was a couple weeks ago out in Breckenridge with the family, and I work remote. So I was like, well, you know, let me take some time. I'll get up there with the family. I'll find a place to work. So I picked a picnic table at a sled place, and I sat down, and I busted out the glasses, put them on. I have this beautiful mountain scenery, and I'm doing my work while my family's out having fun. And so it's something that enables you to have sort of like that big monitor experience when you're not at a big monitor, and it's perfect for that. So I do highly recommend these glasses. Definitely check them out. Now, if you're into other types of glasses, there are something like the RayNeo X2s, and these glasses are different in the way that they're not like a bird bath optic glass where you are connecting to a device and basically a monitor on your face. These are more of a full Android experience. So the RayNeo X2s, they basically connect to your phone via Bluetooth, share an internet connection, and they can pop up notifications and things. You have it like a little AI assistant you can talk to, and it's just a different type of glasses. Now, if you're interested in seeing what all the different types of smart glasses are, I do have a video on that I'll link in the description or in the end card or something, where I talk about the different types. And for me, it kind of boils down to a few different types, right? You got your camera glasses, you got your screen glasses, you got your phone replacement style glasses, and that's going to be those RayNeo X2s where they have the camera, they have the screen, but they also have other features and apps on their own where they don't need your phone. And you know, I'll talk more about that in that video. I don't want to take up too much time in this one, but I do want to say, you know, if you're interested in the RayNeo Air3Ss, definitely give them a shot. Check them out. Amazon has a good return policy, so if it's something you don't end up liking, you can always send it back. But if you check the reviews, they speak for themselves. Right now, they've got only 26 ratings, but at 4.2 with a price point of $210, like, it's worth a shot. Let's see, what else do they talk about in here? Oh, the adjustability and the prescription. Let me hit that. So the adjustability, if you wanted to like change the angle of the image in there, so if you do run into some like blurred edging, I actually think these ones are the best ones that I've tested. They don't get blurry around the edges for me, but if you do run into that, it might be the angle that you're sitting at. So let me go back to seeing it. So you can change the angle of the arms, and for the prescription, I don't know if you can see this very well, but this is the prescription template. And basically what happens is you take this to your optometrist or wherever, or you can probably order them on one of the websites that like makes glasses for AR, VR devices. Lensable, I think, is one of them, things like that. You basically pop them into this template, right? And then you slap them in here. So you would pull out the nose piece, connect this down into it, put the nose piece back in, and you're off to the races with your prescription in. Now, something I've spoke about before is I actually don't think this is the best way to do prescriptions on these type of glasses, but it is probably the only feasible way right now until these start to take off more and become, you know, more mass market, because the only other way that you could make this better, in my opinion, is to put the prescription right on the lens that has the image projected inside of it. And they're only going to do something like that if, you know, there's a huge market for these things and each pair is being made to the individual person. Or, you know, maybe there's some other way where you could make a prescription lens that actually clamps onto that instead. Because what you run into with these is you have these actually, I think my Airs already have mine put on because I do wear glasses. You see the lens is actually pulled a little bit away from the glasses. So whereas before, you know, with the RayNeo Air3Ss, and I don't know why I'm saying the full name, those can sit pretty close to my face, right? But as soon as I add that prescription, they have to sit a little bit farther away. Yeah. So, you know, it just makes it a little less comfortable on the face, a little more pressure on the nose, and it looks a little bit more awkward in person. But back at the website, they talk about how awesome their OLED screen is. What other pieces are in here that we should touch on? I think that's probably it, honestly. Um, yeah. They do have a couple other accessories to use devices like the Nintendo Switch with. They say the Switch 2 will be supported, things like that. Some devices don't support DisplayPort video out via the USB-C, and that's something to keep in mind as well. So if you have an older phone or a phone like I think the Pixel 8 series, they could not do video out over USB-C, and so it's something to keep in mind when you're looking at this device is which device you want to use it with and will it be supported. So see if your device supports just I think it's DisplayPort Alt out or something like that. When looking at it, I'll probably put a note in when I'm editing this video. But yeah, I'm gonna try to stop rambling now. Overall, would I buy the RayNeo Air 3Ss? Yes, I did. Definitely check it out. Give it a shot. If they're your first set of XR glasses, Bird Bath Optics screen style glasses, pick up a pair. Give it a shot. You know, if you don't like it, return it. If you have glasses already, do you need to upgrade to the Air 3Ss? I think that question boils down to like, it depends, right? It's the cop out answer of tech reviewers, and I apologize for it. But if you're happy with your glasses and the experience that you have, maybe you don't need to upgrade to these because these ones are not going to be the next leap in technology. They're not the first ones to be like in the 4K. They don't have the crazy features of like the self-dimming glasses lenses. These are the glasses that you use when you want to learn about XR glasses. You want to have your first set. You want to introduce somebody who is into technology to this type of technology. If you're already super deep into the sphere of XR AR smart glasses, these ones might be the ones to pass on. I don't know for sure. It all depends on your use case. One thing I will mention before I go, just based off this screen that I forgot to touch on, is the audio. The audio on these gets super loud. The bass is not really punchy, but the audio is really loud. And one thing that they do better in these glasses than they have in some of the other glasses, at least for RayNeo, is they aim the audio directly into your ears better than they did before. And that's something that matters to me. It might not be something that matters to you, but comparing to my Xreal Airs, there's less audio bleed, so people hear less around me, and they do have a whisper mode to kind of lower that volume and keep it more directed to you if that's something that you care about more. But yeah, I'm gonna stop there. I'm rambling again. I appreciate everyone sticking around. If you stuck around this long, again, my name is Connor. This was Informal Tech, and we'll see you next time. Peace.